Hey guys, welcome to or back to my channel. I thought I would do a expectation versus reality for van life video. I did one of these a really long time ago and you guys loved it, and I haven't done it in a long time. But basically what I'm going to do is pull pictures from my Instagram that look really nice and kind of share the backstory behind it. Also ways that I keep myself safe as I'm traveling solo. Just different stories from the road that sometimes I don't share on my Instagram because I feel like you can only share so much sometimes with a photo and a caption. So let's jump right into it. Okay, I'm going to begin with probably the highlight of my month and my year, honestly, which was seeing a bear in the wild. I've been wanting to do this for so many years, but it's also really scary because I feel like you don't want to see, like, you want to see a bear in the wild, but you don't really want to see a bear in the wild because a lot of times that might mean that you're in danger. So I also thought I would share how I have kind of manifested seeing a bear in the wild. I feel like I have anyways, but at the same time have some peace of mind by using different safety measures. So this bear that I saw was on a trail called Phelps Lake Trail in Grand Tetons, and as we were hiking, somebody said, "There's a bear up there," and basically just warned us. He was about 10 feet off the trail eating huckleberries. I do have bear spray, and so that was really helpful. But another thing I have when I hike is this bear horn. And this is super helpful because you can actually set it up to where it goes off in increments of about a half a second to a quarter of a second every like half mile basically. And it's very loud and it alerts any wildlife around, which is really helpful because one of the biggest reasons for bear attacks is that they are taken by surprise. Like, you might try to yell or you might try to clap or even have a little bell, but sometimes they really don't hear that. And I'm actually reading this book right now called Bear Attacks, Their Causes and Avoidance, and they have different testimonials of people who have been severely attacked by bears, lost eyes or lost limbs, had a lot of stitches, or even died. And one of the biggest reasons and causes is that people tried to make noise, but maybe there was too much wind and the bear just didn't hear it. So this horn is way louder than I could possibly be, way louder than, you know, a bell could, and I really feel confident that it's alerting the wildlife around me. So this is very helpful for that, just making it known of my existence so I'm not coming up and surprising any wild animals, because that is a big no-no, at least in the book I'm reading. And so that helps a lot, and I don't have to do anything except set off the timer. I don't have to even think like I need to make noise now. So that's really good. When I approached the bear, I remember my heart was beating so fast because I was aware that I was approaching it because of that person. And I made a conscious effort to have my bear horn on, and I had the bear spray ready so that if anything were to happen, the bear just knew that I was around and just was aware of my presence and that I wasn't taking him by surprise. Another thing I like to do for safety is obviously hiking in bigger groups. I was only hiking with one other friend, and that is also why I have so many safety devices like that for wildlife, because it's scary to hike alone or with two people, because that is where a lot of bear attacks and different things like that happen. You're an easier target, you don't come across as much of a threat, and you're not as intimidating. So I was really scared, but I kind of like joined in with a larger group, so I felt safer. I had all my safety devices that gave me so much peace of mind, and I just watched him through the bushes and he was eating huckleberries, and he even looked at me, and I got scared, but I also felt safe having all of these devices with me and knowing that I was in a larger group and that I knew what to do if the bear were to react a certain way because I've read this book. So yeah, I will definitely leave this bear horn linked down below so you can check it out if you are hiking in bear country. I highly recommend it. I feel like everybody should have these things, especially if they're hiking a lot in the Tetons or Yellowstone or Canada or Montana, any places with bears. It's also very scary because if a bear does attack you and learns to, you know, severely hurt humans, or that aggression can help them get something, whether that's food or whatever it is, sometimes the parks will kill the bears. So it is really important that everybody who's hiking in bear country takes proper precautions to store their food away and to have devices like this bear horn that is going to alert wildlife so that they aren't in a position where they learn to attack humans, because that's just not a good thing. We want to keep the humans safe, but we also want to keep the bears and the wildlife safe too, and we never want to put them in a position where we feel like we need to kill them for human safety, because ultimately most bears really want to leave humans alone, but we just have to make sure that we're doing everything right to alert them of our presence as we're hiking through their lands, because it's their lands also. So yeah, that's my bear spiel. I feel so happy that I saw that bear. Honestly, it's just like, it made my day. The whole rest of the time I was smiling and I was so happy and it was so fun. The next picture I have is this picture of me showering. I feel like it's just a stereotypical van life showering picture. I'm in my swimsuit. I was also in the Tetons. And for some reason it was so cold outside that I randomly got a rash. It was a very cold shower. It was really quick. And I do have a water heater, but my friend showered first, and so I ran out of hot water, so it was very cold. I was freezing, and then I got these random bumps and rashes, and it was really scary for a while. It happened for like 10-20 minutes, and I remember feeling my legs and getting scared. I was like, I want to Google this, but I also feel like Google always tells me that I'm gonna die, and then I get in my head about it, so I'm not going to. And it did eventually go away. I think it was because it was so cold maybe, or I was allergic to something, but I just remember that kind of scared me. And in the picture you don't see how cold I was and how quick that shower was, and that I really just wanted it to end, but it wasn't very serene. I mean, it was a beautiful background, but it was very, very cold. The next video is this video of me cliff jumping, and this was about a 25-foot cliff jump. I feel like I look like a badass doing this, but I was actually terrified and I was a total baby. I was up there and my friend was like, this doesn't look bad, like, let's do it. And I would go over to the edge and I'd be like, okay, I can do it with you. And then we would wait and she'd be like, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And I'd be like, I can't. It's so scary. And there was no one else around on the rock, so I didn't even know if it was safe. I was like, I've never seen somebody jump off this rock. I mean, we went there for that cliff jump, so I knew it was, but I was like, I want to see someone do it first and make sure there's nothing down there, make sure the water is deep enough. And surely enough, people did come to do the cliff jump, and they did it, and then I had no excuse. I had to do it because multiple other people did it and they were safe, and they said the water was deep. And I just remember continuously trying and then being scared and trying and being scared and trying and being scared. And eventually I caught myself in a moment where I wasn't thinking. And I was like, this is the time. I have to just do it now. And so while I wasn't thinking about it, I barely gave anybody notice to even record that video, because I just ran and jumped off that cliff. And the water was freezing cold. I actually came up and couldn't breathe because it was just the shock to my system. And I remember I felt like I couldn't breathe enough and my lungs weren't open enough. And I was like, like restricted kind of, because it was just the shock. It was like freezing cold water and there was no ease into it. But yeah, it was totally worth it. It was so fun. I just feel like I need to share that story because on my Instagram and even all my videos, I'm always sharing myself doing kind of adventurous things, crazy hikes and ice cold water dives and cliff jumps and rock climbing, but I actually get really scared. Like, I get really scared of wildlife. I get really scared stealth camping because of humans. I get scared cliff jumping. I think the biggest thing for me is I never want my fear to prohibit me from actually doing those things. I think it's so valid for me to be afraid of those things, but I would love to have products that make me feel safe so I don't feel like I can't go on hikes alone. And I would love to still cliff jump and find ways to build up the courage to do that, even though I feel really scared when I'm looking down at the water on a cliff. So that was really cool, and I felt really proud of myself for actually doing it, because there was a split moment where I was like, I feel like I might let my friend down and not do this jump today, but I would have really regretted it if I did that. So this next picture kind of brings up the fear of stealth camping, which I feel like I don't talk very much about, and I don't really show that much because I am in the wilderness a little bit more. But in this picture where I'm cooking shishito peppers, I was in Denver, Colorado, and I always get a little scared stealth camping, honestly. I get scared getting out of my van because I'm afraid people are going to see me and they're going to see I'm just a girl, one girl in a van. I always want to have things around me that make me feel a little more safe and powerful, kind of, and just confident that I can defend myself in a situation where something scary were to happen. I think in the wilderness I'm a little more afraid of wild animals, and in cities I'm afraid of humans, like just bad people that could see that I'm one person and target me. And so one thing I always carry when I'm going outside of the van, especially when I'm alone, is this pepper spray. This is actually a gel pepper spray, which is pretty cool because it is more safe actually. So it's easier to target. It's not going to spray anywhere. And I feel really safe using it like from a far distance. So I feel like I can defend myself from a further distance. And one thing I love about pepper spray as a weapon too is just that it's legal in all 50 states. So this is a really great pepper spray. It's also just really small. There's a little clip. I really like that. And both of these products, the bear horn and the pepper spray, are by the brand SABRE, and they're under like $20 for each one, which for me is very affordable considering all the peace of mind that it provides. And for full transparency, they did pay me, but all of these thoughts are my own about these products. I really feel like these, especially the bear horn, I mean both of them, I just feel so much more safe when I'm out in the wilderness and when I'm out in the city to have both of these items on me and to know that they protect me in some way, especially because I'm a solo female traveler and I feel like I have additional risks with that and I can be an easy target. So anything to give me peace of mind and to be able to walk more confidently, whether that's in the wilderness or in cities, is just, I don't know, I feel like it's just so valuable to me. So that was in the city. I always sleep a little more rough in the cities. I look really nice in that picture cooking the shishitos, but in my head I'm probably like, is anybody looking in? And yeah, I just get a little paranoid sometimes in cities. I get paranoid of people breaking in, but products like this definitely help along with other weapons. And I've also done about a year of self-defense classes, so that definitely helps too. I think there's different ways you can mitigate feeling those ways if you're traveling solo. This is another photo, and I hiked about 10 miles, I think. This was a pretty difficult, hard hike in the Tetons. It's called Delta Lake. And the last couple miles are just a scramble. The altitude is pretty high and it gets very cold. And I came in with the intention that I was going to do a cold water glacier lake dip. And I knew it was going to be really cold. I brought a swimsuit. I was going to do it. And then when I got up there, my hands and my nose got really cold and I just was looking at the ice cold lake and I was like, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. And the reason why I want to share that story is because I feel like so often I'm sharing videos and photos of things that I do. Like I went on the cliff jump and I did this and I did that, but there are so many moments where I go up to a cliff jump and I get scared and I don't do it and I don't share those moments. And in this scenario, I went up to the lake and the lake was beautiful, but I intended to get in and I didn't. Another photo is this photo of my girlfriend, my beautiful girlfriend Tori. She is in the van and she looks stunning as usual, but there were a lot of mosquitoes and flies and it was so annoying. We were actually so annoyed that day. I don't even know. I had so little patience. I just kept swatting them off of me. We actually ended up closing up all the doors and just staying in here. Even though I love having them open to the wilderness, I just couldn't deal with the flies always landing on me and the mosquitoes biting me. It was too much. So we closed everything and we just expressed how frustrated the mosquitoes and flies were making us. We eventually went on a hike that day, and every single time we'd hike, we'd look at each other and the mosquitoes and flies would be swarming us. And that was really frustrating and yeah, not fun. This next picture is in Utah at a hot spring. This hot spring is stunning. I feel like all the colors are just so crazy and the temperature is really warm. I went with a bunch of friends and we rubbed the orange clay on us and it was so much fun. But there was a little gatekeeping troll there and his name was Mr. Monroe. He just felt like he owned the hot spring and he was a local there and he was a grumpy man and basically he was just mean to us. He was like, get out of here, we don't want you here, which I totally get because I do feel like a lot of local spots have been saturated with people. They blow up online, somebody posts or geotags them and then it becomes a big thing and then people don't respect it as much and they're littering. So I get it, Mr. Monroe, I get it. But he was definitely a grumpy man and my whole group of friends were very adamant about leave no trace, picking up everything we brought and just following the rules. So I was like, we're not those people. Like, don't be mean to us. We're gonna like leave this place better than we even came. We're gonna be picking up litter. Like, that's the type of group we are. But obviously he doesn't know. I get it, Mr. Monroe, I get it, but he was definitely very grumpy. He was going through some things in his life, and he was kind of just a negative energy in our space. Like, he literally threatened to call the cops on us, and we were like, we're allowed to be here. Like, we're allowed. So that was kind of a damper on the energy within that space. Obviously, I didn't show it in the picture. The picture looks very beautiful, but yeah, Mr. Monroe, I mean, what are you gonna do, I guess? Okay, this photo is in Costa Rica, and yeah, we went to a hot spring tub type pool, and I'm in there in my swimsuit, as you can see, but even though it was really beautiful, obviously, to be in Costa Rica in a beach at all, that morning, actually, Tori and I kind of got in a little fight, and then we went to the tide pool, and we kind of just, like, talked everything out, and I hate being in conflicts with people. Of course, somebody I love so much like Tori, so I don't know. It wasn't, like, the best morning in that sense. I'm really glad that we had a chance to talk things out and work it out, but there was definitely a heavy energy behind that photo, and I think I've met people who watch my videos and they have this impression of me and my friend group as just like, we never get in fights and we're so perfect and everything is so smooth, and I value the people around me so much, but we definitely get in fights, and I think that's part of being human, is you get in arguments and you don't see things eye to eye sometimes, and you have to explain things to people and they don't get things off the bat, and I think I'm always learning with it, and the people around me are always learning, and we're helping each other grow, which I find very valuable, and I just love the group I have around me, but just because I love them doesn't mean we don't get in fights, and yeah, Tori and I got in a fight that day, so that isn't something I shared in the caption, but it is very real. Like, you're gonna fight. I think you're going to argue with anybody that you spend significant time with. I think how you argue is very important, and I think arguments are healthy, but you have to kind of combat it with this, I don't know, loving energy. You have to, like, view the fight as the problem, not each other. Don't demonize each other, demonize the fight, and work together to fix it, I guess. So I am really grateful that we had that time to talk, but I do just hate being in conflicts in general, so that kind of sucked. So anyways, that is the end of my expectation versus reality video. I always love doing these because I feel like I try my best to be as genuine as possible and share all sides of living in a van, the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy, the sad. But when I'm really sad, I don't want to pick up a camera, and that is kind of the reality of it. And I don't know, I want to give people a clear picture that just because you live in a van doesn't mean that everything is so good all the time. There's still going to be bad moments, and there are still going to be risks. But with that being said, specifically with safety risks, there are things you can do to mitigate those risks. And again, I will leave this brand down below. I'm so happy that I partnered with them, because I feel like safety is something that I always want to share on my platform. I want to share safety tips with you guys because I don't want anyone to feel limited, like they can't go on a hike because they're scared of wildlife, or they can't travel alone because they're scared of the dangers and risks. I think risks are such a part of life, but we should never let that limit us. So these things bring me a lot of peace of mind. I feel really glad to be collaborating with this and promoting these products that have helped me so much. I really hope they help you so much too. I hope you guys all have a beautiful day. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video on Saturday. Mwah!